Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back on the show. This is a live stream, and as you can see on the thumbnail, things are going down south pretty quick for the US. Just within 48 hours of Trump delivering that speech which had nothing in it, we see things escalating between Iran and the US. Iran first coming out and was stepping up their missile game, and then after that, US replying. And now, yesterday, it was around, you could say, 10 hours ago. Uh, Reports came out of Iran that an F-35 has been taken down. Slowly and steadily, that news matured, and now we know for sure that the plane that was taken down was an F-15, and one pilot has been rescued, and the other one is still, people are looking for him, both the US and Iran. So let's get into this news, how the mainstream media, international media is playing this.
Sources tell CNN one of two crew members have been rescued after a U.S. fighter jet was shot down over Iran. Images of the wreckage shared by Iranian state media match that of a U.S. F-15, including this ejection seat that appears to be damaged. Let's take a closer look now with Colonel Cedric Layton. Colonel Layton, we didn't see the seat there, but I'm sure you have the image here. When you see something like this, you hear that one of the crew members was rescued. No determination yet on the other one. What scenarios come to mind?
So there are a lot of scenarios that come to mind here, Boris, but as you can see, this, of course, is the ejection seat right here. It appears to have some damage associated with it. This would be consistent with an explosion that would be a natural part of the actual ejection. So basically, these have an explosive charge. These ejection seats have an explosive charge underneath them, and that forces, that explosive charge, when activated, forces the person that's sitting in the seat up out of the aircraft, and then that's when the parachutes are deployed and things like that happen. So this is not inconsistent with a safe ejection, and it's something that is definitely survivable from that, assuming that the impact and everything was as we see here, where everything is kind of right side up in this case.
Yeah. When it was initially reported.
So what he's trying to say is the way the seat is placed on the ground, and you can see that the seat is damaged from underneath. That is pretty normal procedure when a pilot ejects. And he says that by the looks of it, the pilot of this seat had safely landed.
State media in Iran suggested that this was an F-35 stealth fighter jet. But upon closer inspection of some of the photos of the wreckage, analysts have since determined that this is more likely an F-15. It's more consistent with the makeup of an F-15. Help us understand.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. So, you basically look at the type of metal that is used in this particular case. You look at the markings, and you look at the way in which all of this is, printed in, stenciled in here, and the type of rivets that you see.
So first, when the news came out, the Iranian news agencies gave this news out that the F-35 has been shot. The US had denied it. But now you could see, not only they have accepted it, they have found one pilot, and search operation is still ongoing. The Iranians have put money on the pilot's head, and is asking state media to the people to help them find this pilot, while the US is conducting search operations. You got footages of helicopters and other planes used in the search operation in Iran.
All of that is consistent with an F-15. It is definitely not an F-35. And that is important because an F-15 is not a stealth aircraft. The F-35 is a stealth aircraft, and it's harder to detect, almost impossible for standard radar to detect the F-35. F-15.
But that's not the point, if it's stealth or not. President Trump was saying that Iran has... Let me know if you could, guys, if there's a problem in the audio. But President Trump was saying that the U.S. has complete air superiority over Iran. The Air Force has been destroyed. The defense equipment have been destroyed. The Navy had been destroyed. The missile launchers had been. How did this happen?
Can be detected by radar.
Yeah, if it were an F-35, I imagine that it would symbolize a different capacity for Iran's military, whereas this does not. I do want to get your thoughts on the video that was geolocated by CNN showing a plane flying low over the ground while two helicopters are nearby. It's believed to be part of the rescue operation. Walk us through what's happening.
Yeah, so what you see here is there's a refueling aircraft here. That's the C-130.
So this was the footage I was talking about. We're going to look into this footage a little more on X, but let's listen to what this guy is saying.
An HC-130, and that's designed to refuel helicopters like this. These are probably the HH-60 helicopters that are being used by the Air Force's search and rescue capability. There's a search and rescue unit that's out of the 1st Special Operations Wing that could possibly be involved in this. And these aircraft are designed to extend the range of the helicopters so they can go further into the area that we have here. So when you look at the area that you see here, this is in southwestern Iran called Khuzestan province. This is the area where this is most likely to have occurred, and it is an area where they would have had the capability to refuel even in Iranian airspace, so that could then extend their range into other parts of Iran if necessary.
Put this into context for us, because even if it is an F-15 and not an F-35, there is still some symbolism to draw from this, especially because just a few nights ago, you had the President of the United States touting the U.S. military's ability to destroy Iran's offensive capability. We've heard the Defense Secretary talking about dominion over the skies of Iran. This contradicts that to a degree.
To a degree it does, yeah. And so you see, when you look at all of these strikes right here, there's a considerable amount of effort that was put into this. So there's no doubt that basically thousands of strike sorties were flown against western Iran, southern Iran, and of course the area around Tehran. And when you look at the concentration right here of strikes in this area, and then you look at the types of strikes that were done here in the western part of the country and in the west central part of the country, you can see that there are a lot of areas that have been hit. And of course, the Iranians are doing the same thing over here in Israel as well. But having said all of that, the key thing is this: no matter how often you strike at targets like this, there are still capabilities that are existent within the Iranian arsenal. CNN reporting has at least half of the missile forces that were believed to have existed before the war still in existence right now. And one of the reasons for that is the way that they can disperse these forces. They have them on mobile launchers. They have them on trucks basically that go all over the place that are harder to detect, and plus they bury them underground. So they have these hardened tunnels that are designed specifically to survive these kinds of attacks. Iran has been preparing for this kind of a war for a very long time, and we're seeing the results of that preparation. It doesn't mean that they're winning, but what it does mean is that they have a capability to not only fight back, but they have a capability to down some of our aircraft if we're not careful and if the proper defenses aren't dispersed by the aircraft itself. F-15 does have the capability to disperse some defensive chaff, for example, which is like aluminum foil coming out of the aircraft. But be that as it may, they can do a lot of damage to aircraft like that, especially if it's a heat-seeking missile as opposed to a radar missile.
Colonel Cedric Lee.
Okay, for the people who've just joined us, we're going through footages, news of international media, how they're reporting the downing of F-15 and how the rescue operation of one pilot who the IRGC is looking for and the U.S. forces are looking for. So let's carry on. This was CNN. This is BBC. Let me just refresh.
Scribe makes step-by-step guides for any process.
Has been shot down over. An American fighter jet has been shot down over Iran, according to US officials, sparking a major search and rescue operation inside the country. What's believed to be an F-15 Strike Eagle went down in the southwest of Iran. One crew member was rescued by US forces, according to CBS News, but the fate of the other person on board remains unknown. Iranian state television has been showing pictures of what it says is debris from the jet and has broadcast an offer of a reward for anyone who captures a downed US crew member alive. President Trump has been briefed on the situation.
We're also going to look into that footage, into that appeal that the Iranian government is making to the people to find the pilot.
Tonight, there are reports that a second jet, an A-10 Warthog, crashed after coming under fire while assisting in the first rescue. That pilot ejected to safety. Our first report tonight is from Tom Bateman in Washington.
So this is another footage of helicopters which are being used in the search operation being refueled over the air of Iran.
Search helicopters prowl the skies over southern Iran, now in a deadly race to find America's missing airmen. Iranian state TV showing pictures of what it says is the wreckage of the downed US fighter plane. The Iranians claim it was shot down by an air defense system as it flew over a rugged province in southwestern Iran. Pictures on social media purport to show one of the two ejector seats. These images are as yet unverified, but appear to be consistent with parts of an F-15 fighter jet. US officials say they launched a combat rescue mission under fire, finding one of the F-15 crew, its pilot. But the recovery helicopter was hit by gunfire, injuring crew members. These pictures appear to show men in a field opening fire on American Pavehawk helicopters used in search operations. We verified.
So this is how it looks like. It's not only the forces that are fighting against American forces, it's the people as well. This is dangerous. When the people of a certain place are against you, this wouldn't be like Iraq or the northern part of Iraq or the western part of Afghanistan. This is going to be very, very dangerous. It is the probability of the fighter, of the pilot getting into hostile area is way more. And this operation would be like one of the most dangerous operations. We're going to look into the geographical location where this is happening as well.
This footage was filmed today. Another plane involved was also hit, an A-10 Warthog like this. Its pilot ejected.
So what might be happening is while these guys are looking for their pilot, the IRGC, the Iranian forces, and the people, as you saw, the footage, a man shooting at a helicopter with a rifle. These people would be a big problem for the rescue operation. We're going to also go live and see what's happening right now. Let's get this out of the way.
Over the Gulf and was rescued. Meanwhile, Iranian government messages have been broadcast calling on residents to join a hunt for the pilots, offering a bounty for their capture. This is the F-15E Strike Eagle, one of America's most advanced fighter planes. It's used for bombing raids and to shoot down drones. Behind the pilot is a weapons systems officer. Shown here at RAF Lakenheath in...
So apparently the F-35 just has one pilot, and the F-15, which was shot and claimed, and this is what they're talking about, has two pilots, has two people in it. One is the weapons guy, the other is the pilot who's driving the plane.
Suffolk, Iran's military claims the downed plane was from the Lakenheath squadron, but the BBC has not confirmed this. This former F-15 pilot says the missing crew member will have been equipped for survival. Once they're on the ground there, what's going to be going through their minds?
First thing is, how do I get myself away from where it is that I am? And then how do I make contact with friendly forces to get myself back into friendly hands?
The White House says President Trump has been briefed. He said nothing publicly about the rescue operation, posting only on social media about Iran. Keep the oil, anyone? US Central Command yesterday released pictures of what it called its undeniable progress, saying Iran's air defense systems had been largely destroyed. But its claims to have free reign over Iran's skies will ring hollow, with the first known loss of a manned US aircraft there since the start of the war, and a perilous search behind Iranian lines. The fate of the missing crew member could determine the direction of this conflict, already unpopular with Americans, overseen by a leader looking for ways to end it.
And Tom joins us from Washington. So what is the latest tonight where you are, Tom?
Well, Jane, we are told that President Trump's national security team has been gathered in the West Wing of the White House all day, providing him updates on that search and rescue operation, as you've been hearing, taking place under fire, with one of the crew of the F-15 still unaccounted for. Now, Mr. Trump has said nothing specifically about the operation itself, but he's done two very brief newspaper interviews here in Washington in the last hour or so. First saying he wouldn't comment on the operation, but then asked if it would affect negotiations. He said no to that question. He was also asked about what he would do, what his response would be if that airman was harmed. And he said simply that he hoped that wasn't going to happen. At the same time, we hear that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has sealed off a huge area there, and that.
So that was the update from Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. He gave an interview to a newspaper, and he wasn't as vocal as he usually is. That means that's bad news till now. Now let's go on. What's he saying?
Rugged terrain around.
So he's saying that the IRGC also has surrounded the area in which they say the pilot might be.
Southwestern Iran, where they've been using troops and locals to search for the missing person, but so far no sign of them. And so you now have a race by two deadly adversaries for a missing American military service member, and so far no word about their condition.
Tom, thank you, Tom.
Let's move on to see what DW is saying.
It's a nightmare scenario for any fighter pilot, being shot down behind enemy lines, and that now appears to be exactly what's happened in Iran. There, a U.S. combat jet has been reportedly shot down over the south of the country. One of the crew members has already been rescued but as of the time of this recording, the whereabouts of a second remain unknown. Let's take a look now at this footage from Iranian state-run TV. It purports to show the wreckage of the downed F-15E fighter jet, though we must stress that this footage has not yet been verified. And we can also take a look at this video, which has also been circulating on social media throughout the day. It appears to show a U.S. search operation in southern Iran, and an aircraft and two helicopters are visible in the frame. Now let's bring in somebody who knows situations like these firsthand. Glenn Ignacio is a retired Air Force Special Operations Commander and an expert in combat rescue operations. He joins us now from San Diego. Glenn, thanks for making time to speak with us.
Absolutely. It's good to be with you.
Now, before we get into the details, what exactly was going through your mind?
So that's DW. Let's see what other channels are saying. This is Fox.
Decorated F-16 fighter pilot who served 3 combat tours in Iraq and is a 2-time Top Gun recipient. Sir, thank you for joining us. First and foremost, thank you for your service. Your thoughts on this?
Well, number one, thoughts and prayers with the crew who has gotten out of that F-15E. You know, it's a dynamic situation. We don't know what's going on, but the things I can tell people that are watching is we prepare for this, and I've flown a lot of combat missions, and the final briefing you do is CSAR, search and rescue, in case you have to get out of this aircraft in enemy territory. And when you look at the totality of just the amazing work under Secretary Ward Peake Hedstedt we've done, we've flown thousands of sorties without an incident. There was a near miss with an F-18.
Okay, so this is an hour ago.
Breaking news, 2 U.S. warplanes shot down by Iran, sparking an urgent and dangerous rescue mission.
This was actually 3 hours ago.
An F-15 fighter jet downed over southwest Iran. 2 crew members ejecting, 1 rescued safely. The search continues for the second pilot. Video posted online shows U.S. military aircraft swooping in as part of the search and rescue operation. Black Hawk helicopters also taking enemy fire with crew members injured. Iranian state TV airing these images that they claim is the wreckage from that downed fighter jet. A short time later, a second U.S. aircraft, an A-10 Warthog, that was providing air support for the rescue team, also hit by Iranian fire. The plane later crashing in Kuwait, that pilot rescued. Tonight, President Trump is getting briefed on these developments in Iran by his national security team. We have team coverage tonight. Our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, leads us off from Washington.
Tonight, a dramatic and dangerous mission as American combat search and rescue teams urgently look for the missing crew member of the fighter jet officials say was shot down inside Iran. The first time Iran has successfully downed a manned American aircraft since this war began. 2 F-15 crew members ejected. 1 was rescued earlier today, according to officials, and is now safely out of Iran. But no word tonight on the fate of that second crew member. Multiple military rescue aircraft swooping in, searching the area. This C-130 seen refueling 2 Black Hawk helicopters in video posted on social media. Another video showing a plane scanning the Iranian terrain. But the Iranians aiming directly at the rescue aircraft, shooting down an A-10 Warthog attack jet, although the pilot made it to Kuwait, where it crashed after he safely ejected and was then rescued. And 2 Black Hawk helicopters were struck by Iranian fire during the mission, seen on video posted on social media, taking fire, with officials telling us crew members.
So you see over here, these are 2 civilians, like people from the village, and they got gun, and they're shooting at the helicopter.
Were injured, but are now safe.
Such circumstances are very difficult for rescue operations.
And outside of Iran. It has been more than 18 hours since these images, credible yet unverified, were released by Iranian media showing parts of what appears to be the Air Force F-15 Strike Eagle in the western part of Iran, including this image of one of the ejection seats with visible damage, a burnt swath of land showing where the jet likely crashed. The jet has markings consistent with the 2-seat fighter aircraft from the 48th Fighter Wing in Lakenheath, England. An Iranian news broadcaster announcing the crash of the aircraft and telling Iranians they would be rewarded if they captured the pilots alive and turned them over to the regime. State TV airing video of Iranians searching for the pilots shortly after. All U.S. military pilots are trained to evade capture if they are forced to eject in enemy territory. Casey Talbot flew F-18s for the Navy.
Once these aviators hit the ground, their training kicks in. And this training is from SEER School, which stands for Survive, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape.
The pilot and weapons systems officer in the back seat would eject just milliseconds apart and should have landed in generally the same area. A transponder would guide the rescue teams to their locations. So the fact that one has been rescued and the other is missing is unusual.
Yes, that is. That is very unusual.
It's a very dynamic situation.
How far can pilots land? How far can crew members land from a plane that has been shot down? I mean, it can't be like in another continent. It has to be in that specific radius, and that is what is worrisome. That none of them have found the pilot yet. I don't know what that means.
And I can't predict the means that cause them to separate. But I can assure you that both individual aircrew are prepared for these types of situations and certainly wouldn't have separated intentionally unless there was a need to do so.
It was just last week. Dramatic video circulating online showed an American F-18 fighter jet narrowly dodging an Iranian surface-to-air missile, according to a U.S. official. And in early March, an F-35, the Pentagon's most advanced stealth fighter, had to make an emergency landing after being struck by Iranian fire. But just this week, President Trump claimed in a primetime speech that Iran no longer had the capability to shoot down U.S. aircraft.
They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated.
I don't know if, he's got no filter, like Carl Zaw says on our show. But I don't know if his staff members tell him what not to say. Because saying that in war was not a cool idea. That was a bad idea. I mean, there was a very thick chance that something like this would happen in Iran. This isn't Afghanistan or Iraq. This is Iran. I mean, they took around 20 years to get ready for this war, and they've been working on it since 2 decades. And now we see actually the damages that Iran is capable of doing, the world sees.
We are unstoppable as a military force.
But clearly, Lindsay, Iran does still maintain the capability to shoot down American warplanes, with 2 destroyed today, that fighter jet and the A-10 that was helping with that search and rescue mission when it was hit, as well as damage to those Black Hawk helicopters, but extraordinary and courageous work by those rescue teams. Lindsay?
No doubt about that.
Okay, so let's move on. This is New York Post. This is New York Post. Let's see what they say. They've got that ex-Navy SEAL guy.
Different things can go wrong. Something as simple as 9,000 different things can go wrong. Something as simple as a helicopter flying in, it gets shot down. All of a sudden, 3 more people are on the ground. Do we have wounded or, God forbid, fatalities? And how many more need to go in? And what kind of a perimeter do we set up? So it's just contingency. I would just recommend starting from the basics. Can we find where he is? How did we find out where he is? Let's go right to him right now. I was a Navy SEAL for just under 17 years. 8 of those years was at SEAL Team 6, which is the Tier 1 unit. 17 years ago, we took off. I was the lead jumper to rescue Richard Phillips from Somali pirates. And then I was the guy that ended up shooting Osama bin Laden on that mission too. Every Special Forces soldier knows how to do a combat search and rescue. And this would be something as simple as establishing communications, however it be by a radio, a simple panel, targeting a GPS like you would dropping a pin. And I'm sure they have a lot more advanced stuff now than when I was there. And they're because of air dominance, hopefully, you want to keep everything simple. Never talk yourself into an ass whipping. Keep it as simple as possible. If I was leading this mission, it would be get on the helicopter with a gun and a friend with a gun, fly right to the guy, get off the helicopter, introduce yourself, put him on the helicopter and fly home. That should be simple. In between those 3 things, about 9,000 different things can go wrong. And we've seen it before where something as simple as a helicopter flying in, it gets shot down. All of a sudden, 3 more people are on the ground. Do we have wounded or, God forbid, fatalities? And how many more need to go in? And what kind of a perimeter do we set up?
Okay, let's move on to what ABC, former SEALs guy, is saying.
Let's bring in retired Navy SEAL and former Deputy CENTCOM Commander, Vice Admiral Robert Hardwood. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us tonight. Appreciate your time. We know that there's a long history of U.S. combat search and rescue missions over the last couple of decades. Without giving away any sensitive information that could put any of these crews at risk, how do these search and rescue missions happen operationally in the middle?
Okay, let's.
Good evening. Somewhere in the dark of southern.
This is CBS.
In Iran right now, an American military aviator is missing in action, and there is a race tonight to locate and recover them before the Iranians can get there first. Those are the stakes after one of the most extraordinary days of this war. It all began with a U.S. F-15E fighter jet like that one on your screen, shot down by Iranian forces, the pilot and a weapons specialist ejecting safely and then evading capture on the ground. But as U.S. rescuers closed in, another aircraft also took fire and crashed, forcing that pilot to eject as well. They were later lifted from the Persian Gulf, and the pilot of the earlier F-15 has been rescued too. But that third crew member is still out there tonight, and we have multiple reports on what happened and what's being done to rescue them, starting with CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata, following things from London. Charlie, good evening.
Let's go on to Al Jazeera. Let's see what they're saying.
Harlan Ullman is the senior advisor at the Atlantic Council and a former U.S. senior naval officer. He says it's a race between the Iranians and the Americans to track down the missing crew member.
Jump out of an airplane, and fortunately I never had to do that. When you hit the ground, you're landing at 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour. So one hopes that the two crew members were not badly hurt, but there's an issue here, and it's very, very possible that one of the crew members may have been hurt. That crew member would have a responder, which he would be using, I think, in a very systematic way, because right now the Iranians are putting a huge manhunt together with their Besiege and with their Revolutionary Guard. They want to get this guy and they want to capture him. They want to show him off, as was the case during Black Hawk Down and the Somalia incidents in 1991. And in any event, this is a game of cat and mouse. So we've got the best rescue possible, and we don't know exactly where the crewman went down. If he went down in the more mountainous areas, that's to his benefit because it's better to hide. If he went down elsewhere, that's going to be more difficult. But this is a game of cat and mouse at the highest levels. The Iranians will mount every effort to capture the crew member. We will make every effort to retrieve them. Right now, my money is clearly on the Americans, but we don't know the state of the crew member. Was he damaged or hurt? Does he have enough water and basic materials to stay alive? Where is he? And is his equipment working? So this makes a Hollywood movie look, by comparison, very trivial.
क्या सोच रहे हो? वही typical women empowerment.
An F-15E down. A U.S. fighter jet crashed in southwestern Iran, but not before both crew members successfully ejected. One American airman has been rescued by U.S. forces, and the other is still missing, with a massive search underway. Meanwhile, a so-called flying tank, the A-10 Warthog, did also take enemy fire in the Middle East today. Joining us now with the very latest, our very own Jennifer Griffin. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Lawrence. We have some new details about the F-15E, which was shot down last night, and the A-10 Warthog, which was fired on and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The pilot of the A-10 Warthog was rescued after the crash, we've learned, and two rescue helicopters involved in the search for the missing F-15E weapons systems officer were damaged by enemy fire, and some of the helicopter crew members were injured, we're told, but they did manage to land safely. The U.S. F-15E was shot down late Thursday night before the sun rose on Friday in Iran. The pilot was rescued, but an urgent search continues for the weapons system officer.
So this is the international media on the hit and downing of the F-15 and two other aircrafts. Let's move on slowly and see what else we could get.
Off of its tail.
And the A-10 crashed. This video shows Iranians firing at U.S. helicopters. Two Blackhawks involved in the search were hit, according to the official, who says there were minor injuries to U.S. service members. It all comes just 2 days after President Trump.
So yeah, that's all of this is happening. It's been like around 8 hours, 10 to 8 hours. Things have escalated very fast.
Courtney, I understand that you have new reporting that Iran shot down a second aircraft. What do we know about that plane and the two helicopters as this search is ongoing?
Yeah, this is actually remarkable how this is unfolding. So we know about this F-15 that was hit by Iranian fire. Likely that's what the most likely reason that this aircraft went down, and taking these two U.S. airmen down with it. But during the search and rescue efforts, we've now learned that at least 3 U.S. aircraft were also struck by Iranian fire as they were trying to search for that downed F-15 and those missing airmen. That includes an A-10 Warthog. It's a close close air support. That's our F-15. That's one of the aircraft that went down. An A-10 it generally will fly low. It was part of the search and rescue.
Let's check out what Live News is saying.
Hair removing cream में no compromise.
So for the people who've just joined in, we're looking through the footages and going through the international reporting on the jet being downed, the US jet F-15 being downed in Iran. And we're going to try to look into the geographical location as well. We're going to go through the flight radar as well. So stick to us. This is DW. This is France 24.
Good in the fog or tissue of lies that have come out about this war. I think one of the nightmares the Pentagon must be contemplating is if the
Adis.k, salam to you too, brother.
I think it is that is at large at the moment. What's going to happen, and will this sort of lead to a hostage situation? And I mean that's got an awful historical resonance, because I mean, the reason why we've had 47 years of Iranian-US animosity was because of the original hostage situation that started off the Islamic Republic after the revolution, when the Shah of Iran was welcomed to the US in a blunder by then President Carter. So I think they'd be very, very worried.
Even though the fuel price was rising, because the seafood prices.
This is Al Jazeera.
Prices were a lot higher than they are now. Right now, fuel costs alone are more than we could earn from the catch. It's guaranteed we would operate at a loss. Even when the boats are docked, it doesn't mean there are no expenses, as we have to pay maintenance costs. If the situation doesn't improve and fuel prices don't drop in a few weeks, we'll have to lay off our crew, about 25 of them, because we simply can't afford to pay salary.
Okay, let's check out the flight radar now. What we could find on the flight radar. So this is how Iran airfield is looking like right now. It's totally empty. Let's try to zoom and see. So this is the area where they say the US fighter pilot, the F-15 went down. This area. This is like right above the Persian Gulf. And this is Kuwait, this is Iraq, and this is Iran. And they say that it went down from in this area. So right now we can't see any action here. Let's try to use some other tool on this. So this is actually the area where they say that the planes went down. Let's check this out. Okay. So this is the dashboard. You can actually look into it. It's bamcam with a q.com. So you can like check into live feeds of the war. And so it's telling you that these are air defenses which are active. That was a oil field. So nothing over here either. But there are rockets being fired. Where? Let's find. Over here somewhere. Yep. So rockets are being fired from Lebanon to inside Israel right now. You can see So this is Lebanon and this is Israel, and the rockets came from here to here. And this is the, as it says, missile projection simulation. It says that these are the approximate areas that the missiles would land. It's more than one. But over here, we see nothing in this area right now. It says this is an Iran air defense radar site. This is another oil field. Okay, so let's check what she's saying. This is ABC.
Breaking news, 2 U.S. warplanes shot down by Iran, sparking an urgent and dangerous rescue mission. An F-15 fighter jet downed over southwest Iran, 2 crew members ejecting, 1 rescued safely. The search continues for the second pilot. Video posted online shows U.S. military aircraft swooping in as part of the search and rescue operation. Black Hawk helicopters also taking enemy fire with crew members injured. Iranian state TV airing these images that they claim is the wreckage from that downed fighter jet. A short time later, a second U.S. aircraft, an A-10 Warthog, that was providing air support for the rescue team, also hit by Iranian fire. The plane later crashing in Kuwait, that pilot rescued. Tonight, President Trump is getting briefed on these developments in Iran by his national security team. We have team coverage tonight. Our chief global affairs anchor.
So yeah, as you can see, let's move on. Let me take you to Twitter. So this is how it is on Twitter. This is apparently the image of the helicopter which was in the search operation. That is when it went down. I'm going to refresh this. Yeah, we're going to look into what Iran used. I see your comment, Pristine. And we have a bit into it, how Iran did it. We also did a video of what actually the Iranian analysts were saying on state TV, how they did it. We can look into that too. So this is drop site. The pieces of the plane. This is like pretty clear. And this is the local Iranian TV, which is asking residents to help them capture the Iranian pilot. Wait.
و غیرتمند کهگیلوی وبای رحمت توجه بفرمایید اگر خلبان
You can read the subtitles underneath.
یا خلبان دشمن دستگیر و زنده تحویل نیروی انتظامی و نظامی بید مژدگانی و پاداش ارزشمندی دریافت کنید و اگر هواپیما یا بالگردی من آسمون مشاهده کردید حتما مورد هدف قرار بید. لایه نیروی انتظامی استان
So that was how the public announcement looked like on Iranian TV. State of Iran asking for the help of residents to find this guy. And remember, in the backdrop, Ayatollah has been martyred in Iran. So this would be a big catch if they get this pilot.
Out of Iran, where the state media is reporting a US fighter jet has been downed.
So this was right in the beginning. This is how Al Jazeera reported Iranian state media breaking the news of F-15 being shot down.
We begin with breaking news out of Iran, where the state media is reporting a US fighter jet has been downed and that the US military is trying to conduct a search and rescue operation. Iran's state television says there's a reward for anyone who can find them.
Go green, it was Bam Cam, and it was with the Q.
The pilot.
توجه بفرمایید. بینندگان عزیز.
Attention, dear viewers, to the dear and honourable people of Kokiluya and Boyar Ahmad province. If an enemy pilot or pilots are captured and handed over, detained and alive to law enforcement and military forces, you will receive a bounty and a valuable reward.
We've reached out to US Central Command for confirmation and comment, but we haven't received a reply. Let's bring in Ali Hashim in Tehran.
Well, I'll tell you something. The first person to reply to this would be Donald Trump.
Ali, what is state TV saying about this potential downing of a US jet?
Well, the state TV has said that Iran has downed an American fighter jet. They say it's F-35. Now, we cannot confirm that from our side. And that two U.S. pilots are missing inside Iranian territories. This took place towards the west of the country in the areas of Luristan, between the areas of Luristan. And now we're hearing that, according to information that's circulating here on Iranian media, that the U.S. is conducting search operations for pilots who fell in two areas, Kaghalu and War Ahmed, as well as in Bushehr. Airdrop operations have been carried out and intense clashes. So what the Iranians are saying is that there are intense clashes between...
So Iranians are saying that there is clashes going on. So there is action going on there.
These forces and Iranian ground forces from the Revolutionary Guards in the Dailam region, resulting in casualties among the invading forces. This is based on what the Iranians are saying. So what we are dealing with right now is a very significant event. The first time that an American fighter jet is being hit, at least this is what we...
Not hit, downed. It was hit before. F-35 was apparently hit. F-16 took a scratch.
We're having also pictures through the Iranian television of the remainings of the fighter jet, and that two American pilots are missing inside the Iranian territories, and that operations are ongoing. Now, the Iranian television just announced also that they are putting 10 billion two-mans to anyone who can lead to the pilots. So they're asking people, calling on people to be part of the search operation to get the American pilots. Of course, this would be a changing point in this war, because it would mean for the first time that if the Iranians are able to get the American pilots, then this is the first time that the Iranians will have American prisoners of war during this war.
Okay, what would happen after that? Would this escalate? Would this make Trump take two steps back? And what happens if it escalates? What would the Iranians do next? So these are very, very sensitive times. And both of them, the US, especially the US, needs to be very careful with what they and how they try to do.
Now, Ali, as you just said there is some confusion as to whether it's an F-35 jet or an F-15. Now
this confusion is over. This, as I told you, was just in the beginning when the Iranian state media started to break the news. This is when Al Jazeera broke this news. So where I am right now, this is of last night, around, you could say, like 12 hours ago, 10 to 12 hours ago. So let's go forward. So the explosive media, the guys who do the Lego videos, they also put up a graphic. Check this out. So apparently it shows this Lego which has a helmet on and has the American flag on the left hand and has a parachute hanging onto him behind, being dragged behind, is running, and looks like local Iranian people. They are not the soldiers or the army or the IRGC or the besiege, whatever they call them. These are like normal people. This is very, very difficult. This situation is very difficult when the people are actually against you. This also puts a question on the diaspora, the Iranian diaspora. What do you think is happening here? Why were people, normal people, civilians, out shooting down helicopters of the US? Why is this happening if they want the US to attack them? So these are some other footages. So these are the seats of the F-15. This is how it looks like, and this is how it is right now. So this is CENTCOM. This was last night. Claim Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps says that it downed an enemy fighter jet over Qishm Island in the Strait of Hormuz. Fact, all US aircraft are accounted for. Iran's IRGC has made the same false claim at least half a dozen times. Okay, so this is also footage. These are locals firing at the rescue operation. These are locals taking a shot at US helicopters which are trying to go find that one missing pilot. So when the people are against you, this is very, very difficult. So you can actually see something over here in the air. Over here you can see, I think it's a helicopter. I'm gonna pull down the volume. So this is a guy shooting from like behind a mountain at a helicopter. Okay, so this is another video. You heard that? That's a local. That's a local guy firing at an airplane. You see this guy? This is the guy shooting. And check out his gun. His gun looks like something out of a movie of 1963. It's such an old gun being used on an advanced weaponry. So he's just taking out the bullet from his pocket and he's hiding behind this pillar. So it's very difficult for pilots to even get an eye on such people or such hostility on the ground, because it's very, very difficult to spot them. And this is a young girl. Check her out. She's just dancing away while her brother, or I don't know, father, is shooting at a US plane with a normal rifle. She's cheering. So this is going to turn the entire war upside down if the Iranians get their hands on this missing crew member of the F-15. This would change a lot of things. This would be very, very bad news. This is again footage of helicopters being refueled in the air so they could continue this rescue operation. This is another close-up. You've got numerous footages now. So the X is completely flooded by the footages. So this is RT. This was like late last night. Iran shows the derbies have completely destroyed F-35. I don't know if they destroyed it with this missile. I don't think so. Yeah. So though the missiles being shot were compilation of different missiles. So these are the footages of the derbies. That was RT. Again, other footages of the low-flying plane looking for their pilot. Okay, so it all started way before today. It started when the Iranians claimed that they took a jab at the F-35, which is supposed to be stealth, completely invisible and invincible to the defense system. But and then they made this video, which was aired by Iran TV, Iranian press TV. And they kind of explained how this went on.
At 2:50 a.m. on the 19th of March, something happened that was never supposed to happen. A stealth fighter, the most advanced warplane ever built, was detected, tracked, and engaged. For years, the US F-35 fighter jet was sold as untouchable, invisible to radar, impossible to stop, the crown jewel of modern air power. But over central Iran, that image cracked. Instead of relying on radar, Iranian air defenses used something simpler and smarter: infrared tracking. Not signals you can jam, not something you can see coming, just heat. And no matter how advanced a jet is, it cannot hide its heat. One missile, one moment, and suddenly, the myth of invincibility didn't look so solid anymore. But this wasn't luck. It was strategy. For weeks, Iran played a deeper game, shutting down real radar systems, setting up decoys, and letting enemy forces believe that the skies were clear, that their defenses were gone. So the jets flew in deeper, right into a trap. And when the moment came, the systems were waiting. This wasn't just about one aircraft. It was about rewriting the rules. Because if something as advanced as an F-35 can be challenged, what does that mean for everything else? Around the world, countries are already rethinking billion-dollar decisions, rethinking what air superiority really means, because the future of warfare may not be about who has the most expensive technology. Maybe it's about who understands its weaknesses. The era of invisible power just got a reality check, and the message is clear. Nothing is untouchable.
Wow, just wow. She just gave out their thinking strategy. She says the future war would be about knowing more about your weaknesses than the strengths. So right now, let's move on. For the people who've just joined us, there is action going on in Iran. An F-15 has been downed and 2 other aircrafts have been downed. While searching for crew members of that F-15, 1 crew member has been found and the other one is still being searched at in Iranian provinces. Let's go see what else there is, the latest. So this is explosive media. Those Lego guys, they just gave a video. They just published a video. Let's go through what they're saying this time. Just showing usual casual civilian shooting down a US plane very, very smoothly. So these guys can stop working. So this is Global Insight Journal. It says a second US Black Hawk helicopter has been downed, attacked by Iranian forces. This is 7 hours ago. We can have a look at this footage as well. So there you have it. This is Propaganda and Co. reposted this. This is RT, which actually shows the F-15 being shot. I think this is the same F-15. Iran calls it a black day for US Air Force. 5 aircraft shot. Air defense system catch every target on camera. Now let's check this out. This is by RT. It has no volume. I'm going to put it back. Yeah, this actually looks like that Hogwarts plane. But it seems like it's flying. It's still flying. Here it is. You see a small box around it too. So let's check the latest. So this is Explosive Media, the same Lego guys saying which US aircraft taken down should we feature in our next animation: A-10, F-35, F-15, F-18, AWACS, or Black Hawks. Wow, they're picking up their game pretty cool. Okay, this shows another incident. It's near Puerto Rico. Have they caught the pilot? It seems like a video. Oh, this is old. This is the Iraqi air defense shoots down an American plane and captures its pilot, who took off from Khark base near Riyadh to target Iraq and the Iraqis. Oh, some other videos being This is Al Jazeera 3 hours ago.
The Iranians are there is no detail about what happened to the crew, but they are looking for those pilots. The Iranians are saying that they are still looking for those pilots, and they are asking people to help in that search. But at the same time, also, they are talking about those 2 fighter jets and also 5 helicopters they say have been either shot down or damaged. So the Iranians are talking very proudly about this surprise after so many weeks of war and so many claims by the Americans that they have obliterated the Iranian army's capabilities, particularly its air defense systems. Now they are talking here about this surprise and how the Iranians are going to show more of these surprises day by day, and they are going to down more fighter jets, American fighter jets, down the next weeks. And it is just a sign of that Iran is not about to be defeated. And we have seen celebrations in the streets tonight. Celebrations happen every day, every night here in Tehran, but tonight it had a new vigor to it. And everyone is talking about what happened. Everyone is talking proudly about this development in the war. And they are sending strong messages via what happened today to the Americans that they have to think again about what's happening. I have one tweet here by the Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf, in which he says, after defeating Iran 37 times in a row, this brilliant no-strategy war they started has now been downgraded from regime change to, hey, can anyone find our pilots? Please. Wow, what incredible progress. Absolute geniuses. So he's poking fun at the Americans after claiming that they have defeated Iran 37 times. Now they are beseeching Iranians or anyone else to help them find their pilots inside Iranian territory. That just gives you an idea about how much the Iranians are proud of what they think they have achieved tonight.
So that was Al Jazeera. I had something else for you guys. So this is the meme going on, Professor Marandi for US President in 2028. Where was that tutorial? So this is also an explainer of what actually went down. Pristine asked me. So here it is.
How Iran actually hit a US F-35 stealth jet. Every news channel right now is blowing up with the exact same question. How in the world did a tiny Iranian missile manage to target a fighter jet that even Russia's billion-dollar radar systems can't spot? Let's break down exactly what went down. First, take a look at this beast. The Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, the absolute boss of fifth-generation aviation. The U.S. dropped over $100 million a pop to design this thing to slip right past enemy radar and cruise into hostile territory without breaking a sweat. Its main job? Wiping out enemy air defenses and totally dominating the skies. And to pull that off, it uses the most insane, top-secret stealth tech on the planet. The F-35 had an 8-year...
So here's a note. The jet that went down was an F-15. This is how actually they are doing this, how the Iranians are doing this. But the jet that went down was an F-15. It wasn't an F-35.
Year combat streak. Never shot hit. Not even once. So the big question is, what is the ultimate weak spot of the world's most advanced fighter jet? How did Iran figure it out and do what even Russia and China couldn't? Look, nowadays, anti-aircraft systems mostly use two ways to guide their missiles: radar and heat-seeking. Now, the F-35 is an absolute master at dodging radar. Because of its crazy shape and radar-absorbing materials, its radar footprint is so tiny that billion-dollar missile systems like the S-300 and S-400 just can't lock onto it. The radar signal literally just doesn't bounce back. But every superhero has a weakness, right? The F-35 packs a single engine called the Pratt & Whitney F-135. It's one of the most powerful fighter engines in the world. But with all that power comes a massive amount of heat. And that insane heat? That's its biggest flaw. The date was March 19th, 2026, 2:50 a.m. Central Iran. Instead of relying on radar for their modern defense, Iran was using something called an infrared search and track system, or IRST. These systems scan the sky looking for heat signatures. And sure enough, this system quickly picked up the super hot exhaust coming from the F-35's engine. The scariest part? IRST doesn't send out any signals of its own, so the F-35 pilot had zero clue he was even locked onto. Now let's talk about Iran's weapon. The missile used in this attack is believed to be the 358 missile, also known as the SA-67. And this thing is seriously sneaky. It's not your average surface-to-air missile. It's a weird mashup, half kamikaze drone, half missile. It flies super slow and just loiters around a specific area, flying in a figure-8 pattern. It has its own optical and heat sensors built right in. It basically just hangs out and waits. And the second it catches the heat of a jet, it pounces. The craziest thing is that the 358 can be guided by a network of infrared sensors on the ground. But hold up. Just because there was no radar warning doesn't mean the F-35 is a sitting duck when a missile is launched. This jet is packed with a super advanced distributed aperture system, or DAS. It's got 6 infrared cameras that give the pilot a full 360-degree view around the plane. The second that 358 missile hit the gas and its rocket motor started giving off heat, the DAS caught it and instantly gave a warning alarm in the pilot's headset. Now the pilot only has seconds to react. To break the missile's lock, the pilot yanks the jet into high G turns to confuse it. At the same time, the jet starts pumping out flares. The whole point is to trick the missile's sensor so it ditches the jet and chases those glowing flares instead. And it worked. The 358 missile falls for the flares, it still flies incredibly close to the jet. The moment the missile senses it's super close to the target, inside its lethal radius, it just blows up mid-air. The shockwave and high-speed shrapnel from that blast shred the F-35. It completely strips away the stealth coating and wrecks the flight control systems. It wasn't a direct hit that turned the jet into a fireball, and that's exactly why, even with massive damage, the pilot managed to pull off a safe emergency landing. Iran proved that you don't need $1 billion radar to bring down America's most advanced jet. So guys, what's your take on how modern warfare is shifting?
Yep, what's your take? So that was, how are they able to do all that? I had something else for you guys. Let me search for it. So there's this Chinese social media account which gave a viral tutorial of how to defeat the F-35. This also was like making rounds on X yesterday, so we're going to go through that.
On March 14th, a detailed tutorial on taking down the F-35 went viral on Chinese social media. Posted by the account Lao Who Talks World and subtitled in Persian, it outlined how Iran could leverage low-cost systems, including infrared missiles and improvised sensors, to challenge US stealth technology. 5 days after the post, Iran claimed it had struck the US F-35, raising questions about the impact of civilian expertise. Since the US-Israel campaign against Iran began on February 28th, many Chinese STEM professionals have shared content aimed at aiding Iran's defense. Their guidance includes precise US military base coordinates, missile strategies against aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf, and simulations defending Iran's Karg Island against potential US landings. On March 14th, a detailed tutorial...
So these are the stories coming out of X. This is South China Morning Post. How to take down a US F-35 overrun. Chinese engineers' prophetic tutorial goes viral. So this is how it all began.
Colonel Gagnard, what does this mean for U.S. jet strikes and other aerial missions moving forward?
That the skies are not as safe as they perhaps presumed. My guess is that this was daytime. My guess is that that the Iranians used what's called infrared. So they used detection that's passive, that used heat differences. The president did say that their radars roll down, and so he probably can claim that legitimately. But the fact that there are still anti-aircraft kinds of capabilities that are based on heat temperature differences that can identify aircraft and still target aircraft is probably what got this F-15 down.
Colonel Gagnard, what does this mean for U.S. jet strikes and other aerial missions moving forward?
So yeah, as I said, we had this video titled "New Fear Unlocked" when the first F-35 was scratched off, and yeah, that was true. Now things are going to be way more different.
Well, thank you for having me. And I think the first thing to remember is that they're a long ways away from any American bases. I mean, So they're going to have an extensive logistics capability to be able to essentially loiter and look for this guy. I mean, obviously, finding where he is the most important thing. But, you know, we've got incredible capability in regards to Pave Hawk helicopters and A-10 aircraft that can be used to provide cover. And the whole procedure would be run by an HC-130, which would also have a refueling capability, so allow the helicopters to loiter a little bit longer. And of course, MQ-9 Reapers surveillance drones are going to be very active. The good news is that it's becoming dark. And my understanding is these pilots or this weapons systems officer probably has a set of night vision goggles. And that would give him some advantages to staying alive in a contested area. But, you know, it's obviously a race against time. The IRGC wants to get him. There would be tremendous political advantage. I mean, there already is with 2 shootdowns today. But to be able to capture someone and to have a hostage would be tremendous political points for the regime. And, you know, this is just more evidence that this is the greatest geopolitical disaster, I believe, in the history of America. Donald Trump.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so true. This could become the biggest geopolitical disaster of American history. That is true.
Has stuck his hand in the middle of a hornet's nest. He doesn't know how to get it out. And we've got a long way to go. Well, thank you for having.
So that was very, very candid. So this video shared by Iranian Instagram channel Kaf Khaiboon shows a woman volunteer at checkpoint in Iran as civilians take expanding roles in amid US-Israeli war. So he asked, why are you standing at this checkpoint? She says, I was only interested in doing some operational assistance. This goes to show that the diaspora, the Iranian diaspora, has technically no connection with these guys. So these are the Lego guys again, 16 hours ago.
Run back to your crib, you ain't safe on these blocks. Get lost, Goldilocks. This land is deep roots, solid as the rocks. Get lost, Goldilocks. Young bloods want the bounty, circling like a hawk's. Get lost, Goldilocks. We ain't soft like the states, cut the cheap trash talks. Get lost, Goldilocks. Run back to your crib, you ain't.
Get lost, Goldilocks. So this is Fareed Zakaria's take. Let's see what he says.
To understand the present, let's look at the past, at the only country in modern history whose global reach matched that of the United States. Britain, at the turn of the 20th century, was the world's sole superpower. The British Empire's share of global GDP reached roughly 25% in the late 19th century, about the same as the US today. And London was the world's financial capital. Britain had thwarted Napoleon's bid to rule the European continent and Russia's effort to expand more into southeastern Europe during the Crimean War. It presided over a vast empire that spanned the globe and set the agenda for international life, much as Washington does today. Over the course of those decades, roughly from the 1880s through the 1920s, Britain found itself responding to instability, nasty regimes, and power vacuums all over Asia and Africa. It sent troops and asserted control in places like Sudan and Somalia, Iraq and Jordan. These missions all seemed compelling at the time, but had the effect of keeping London distracted by an endless series of local crises in peripheral parts of the world, often.
So yeah, that sounded familiar. So this is U.S. Air Force Navy Strategic Command HFGCS High Frequency Global Communication System.
Stand by. Message follows. Mike. Tango. Charlie.
Okay. So yeah, this is a shout out to Knight of Honor. What's up? Cows for cheese, I see you.
Does not come from a so-called deal with you. The guarantee comes from the time that we see that this is an existential war for us. So we did not choose to engage in this war. You started the attack, but you're not going to be the ones who decides when this is going to finish. We're going to finish when we are sure we find tangible guarantee that you're not going to attack us. And the guarantee does not come from your words, does not come from a so-called deal with you. The guarantee comes from the time that we see that you actually withdrew your troops from the region.
That's true. They were forced into this. So this shows an Israeli lost her temper when after seeing an American man holding the Palestinian flag. So this post from OSINT TV says, big beautiful aircraft damaged or destroyed in the war against Iran. F-35, we've got F-15s. 3 fighter jets were shot over Kuwait and 1 shot down in Iran. And we got the A-10, sorry. We got the Sentry planes. And then the tankers, a lot of them. The helicopters. And then the drones, the Reapers. So these hits can tell you that Iran has a capability. It's not... You can't say that you guys, that the US has air superiority. So Defense Intelligence says bad day for USAF. Today's reported incidents: F-15, 48th Fighter Wing shot down in SW, Iran. Pilot rescued. WSO missing. A-10 Thunderbolt 2 shot down. Crashed in Persian Gulf. Pilot recovered. HH-60G Pavehawk hit during CSAR. And then the crew was rescued. KC-135R near Tel Aviv. F-16 Wild Weasel near Iraq border. And then the KC-135R again in Tel Aviv. So this is what's been happening in just 48 hours since the President of America gave that prime time speech.
Search, but at the same time also they are talking about those 2 fighter jets and also 5 helicopters they say have been either shut down. There is no detail about what happened to the crew, but they are looking for those pilots. The Iranians are saying that they are still looking for those pilots, and they are asking people to help in that search. But at the same time, also, they are talking about those 2 fighter jets and also 5 helicopters they say have been either shut down or damaged. So the Iranians are talking very proudly about this surprise after so many weeks of war and so many claims by the Americans that they have obliterated the Iranian army's capabilities, particularly its air defense systems. Now they are talking here about this surprise and how the Iranians are going to show more of these surprises day by day, and they are going to down more fighter jets, American fighter jets, down the next weeks. And it is just a sign of that Iran is not about to be defeated. And we have seen celebrations in the streets tonight. Celebrations happen every day, every night here in Tehran, but tonight it had.
So yeah, that's to give you a picture of what's going on in Iran. So this is the Washington Post. Two U.S. military aircrafts were shot down in separate incidents on Friday while conducting combat operations against Iran, setting off a search and rescue effort that remains ongoing for one missing crew member, U.S. officials said. So this is what's going on. Let me take you back to something live.
Hey, can you just write up that vendor?
So this is the latest right now. A search and rescue mission is on way in Iran to find the missing pilot. This is Al Jazeera. Let's go further. This is France 24. This is Euro News. This is CGTN Live. We saw this earlier. This one too.
And now here we are. Earlier today, an F-15 flying over the region of Iran adjacent to Karg Island crashed. The Iranian government claims that it was shot down. The crew of two both ejected. American search and rescue teams quickly recovered one of them. At the time of writing, and bear in mind that this is a rapidly evolving news story, the other one remains missing. Now, because the situation is likely to change again by the time that you watch this, what I want to do today is discuss the more general problem at hand. Maybe Iran will capture the aviator, and we will be living in a situation that I'm about to describe. Or maybe the United States will recover the aviator. But as time passes, and the war persists, assuming that it continues for more than 2 or 3 weeks, we will eventually find ourselves back in this position. And that raises the question of how to think about the situation, whether it is happening now or later. In particular, I want to cover the post-Cold War I history of combat shootdowns of fixed-wing aircraft, to hammer home the point about the inevitability of the situation. Then we will explore the political consequences of Iran capturing a downed aviator. Afterward, we will turn to how this might change U.S. battle plans, with an eye toward the bigger picture involving China. But let's start with the recurring aviation problem. And to be clear, the problem here is something that would make every other country's military jealous. The United States can dominate the skies like no one else. But that does not make Uncle Sam invincible, and that may be one of the key lessons for today. 1991's Operation Desert Storm is a testament to this, though it happened as the United States was transitioning to be...
So let's go on to the Young Turks, what they're saying.
Tragically, a U.S. fighter jet was indeed shot down over Iran. A second plane has also gone down, but this one was apparently shot down by offensive fire from Iran, and that is the first airborne casualty, they're saying, of this conflict. Of course, some of the other planes that have been marked as damaged by the U.S. military, when you see the photos, they're totaled, they're S-canned, they're not going to be flying anymore. But this one is the first where it wasn't friendly fire, and they're actually copping to the fact that it was shot down, despite the fact that we keep being told by our leaders, who would never lie to us, that all of the Iranian missile launchers have been destroyed for literally weeks. Anyway, Iranian state media posted on social media, because this war is terminally online. They posted footage of the downed jet. They claimed that it was an F-35, which is one of the more recent and more advanced planes in the US military. It was in fact an F-15, which is significantly older. It's not a stealth jet or anything like that, but it was indeed shot down. We don't know exactly where the attack occurred, but if you want to jump to this B-roll, people inside of Iran have been tracking where the sort of, you can see flying. There's a C-130 and a couple of rescue helicopters, which thankfully they were not shot down. That was in central Iran. Supposedly Khuzestan province, which is in central Iran, is where that was going on. Now, the good news is that one of the two members of the crew of the plane that was shot down has actually been recovered.
Okay, for the people who just joined in, we're trying to cover the story of the F-15 and the other two planes being shot down in Iran. Let's see what else we could find. I see the chat box as well.
Officials have now confirmed that an American fighter jet has been shot down over Iran.
We're trying to get our hands on something very, very fresh. So this is like 4 hours ago.
An A-10 Warthog crashed near the Strait of Hormuz after being struck by enemy fire. This comes as a search and rescue operation is underway after another U.S. fighter jet was downed in Iran. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is on the ground in Tel Aviv. Mike?
And Tommy, we've got a few new developments to tell you about following that fighter jet that went down. Some of this coming from our Jennifer Griffin in the Pentagon. As far as the crew member who was rescued, that was the pilot of the F-15E Strike Eagle that went down. The one who is still missing is the weapons systems officer. What we're hearing from the Israelis is that they have stopped airstrikes into that area where the search is going on while the search is still underway. Also, that the Israelis are sharing intel with their American counterparts while the search is on for that missing weapons systems officer. An image out of that area, U.S. fixed-wing aircraft refueling.
Okay, we've seen all this. This is now 31 minutes ago. Let's see what...
Benjamin, there's a couple of things that could have shot this plane down. It could have been anti-aircraft artillery, large bullets from the ground. It could have been a heat-seeking missile, or it could have been a radar-guided missile. Sometimes you only...
So they don't know what hit them. Let's try to find something live.
It was time for us to change things.
Okay.
Also with us, retired Lieutenant General Mark Wetherington, former B-1 and B-2 pilot who served as Deputy Commander of the Air Force Global Strike Command. General Wetherington, it's great to have you on as well. I'm wondering if General Breedlove missed something that you'd like to expand upon.
No, I think absolutely, Trace. General Breedlove hit all the notes very well. I think I would stress the courage and professionalism of our combat rescue forces.
So this is 1 hour ago.
The search for a missing crew member after U.S. officials say a U.S. warplane was shot down over Iran early Friday. U.S. military leaders say one of the crew has already been rescued. Fox News reporter Caroline Shively has the latest.
U.S. forces rescued the American pilot shot down over Iran early Friday, just hours after the Air Force officer ejected from the F-15E fighter jet.
Once you're in hostile territory, the techniques and procedures, which are highly classified, are ingrained in the air crew. They're very well trained and versed in those tactics.
As of Friday night, there was still no official word on the weapons system officer who was also on board the jet, the first aircraft downed by enemy fire since the war began almost 5 weeks ago.
We're going to fight like hell to bring these two, one of the remaining pilots home.
Markings on the jet's tail indicate this was an aircraft assigned to the 494th Fighter Squadron at RAF Lakenheath in England. But officials would only say the pilot in the crash was being treated for injuries. Iranian TV showed the wreckage and urged citizens to deliver any enemy pilot to state authorities.
The fact that they put a bounty would make people think twice about, let's say, hiding the pilot or helping the pilot to evade the regime. They would probably hand him over.
But Air Force personnel who fly over enemy territory are taught what to do in this exact scenario.
You find your way away from that situation, that you can hunker down and start communicating to try to get rescue going.
Fox News has also learned an A-10 Warthog has crashed near the Strait of Hormuz, but the pilot was recovered. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A Covington native who died in the line of duty last month as part of Operation Epic Fury will be honored statewide this month. Governor Bob Ferguson has ordered flags to be lowered to half-mast on April 10th to honor Captain Ariana Savino.
Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Betsy Singer. Tim Seaman has the evening off. Well, today, 2 U.S. military planes shot down in Iran in separate incidents. A military member was...
So you guys can see it's all over the news and Twitter, social media. So this is the tutorial. Wait, let me switch the screen.
unverified images released. 如何击落一架？如何用？
This is what you call people-to-people connection and people-to-people help. This is a Chinese engineer, Lahu Talks World, who's giving an online tutorial on how to take down the F-35.
如何用伊朗现有的装备击落 F-35？ 这道题怎么解呢？要把大题拆成小题，再用排除法来解。 如何击落一架5代隐身战机？你想不明白，但是拆解开，比如如何打飞机，那你肯定会，而且你还能举一反三。打 F-35学会了，那打 B-2是不是同样的思路呢？你明白吧？咱们开始啊。如何打飞机？无非2种办法：一是空对空，飞机飞上去用机载武器打；二是地对空，在地面用防空武器打。选哪个？对喽，以现在的情况，第一种不太现实，在持续2周的高强度空袭下。 露天停放的军用飞机基本都还原成零件了，就算能依托冻库保留一部分，机场也让人家盯得死死的。就算能飞得起来，技术差距也实在太大。毕竟伊朗现役唯一的重型制空战斗机还是巴列维王朝时代弄来的 F-14，随便拎出来一架，机龄至少48岁，又不能原厂原漆的保养，指望不上了。所以只能地对空，也是2个选项：一是用高射炮之类的深管武器打，二是用导弹打。怎么选呢？ 目前没有证据显示伊朗装备了集成火控雷达及光电系统的现代化自行高炮 ，F-35也不敢跑到低空，所以还是选择用导弹。但用导弹需要怎样的防空系统呢？一是远程的，二是近程的，怎么选呢
？So this was the post actually, which is making news as well. This is the Bakhtiaris tribe in Khuzestan headed into the mountains with rifles in hand searching for the missing American F-15 jet pilot, they say. And check out the weapons they have in hand.
حسین سلام علیکم خسته نباشی. آشه سلام علیکم. انشالله پیدا میشه نترسید.
آقا رضا سلام علیکم یا الله یا سلام.
نمیمونه پرچم همیشه بالا.
حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی خسته نباشی.
خسته نباشی.
یا سلام علیکم. حاجی سلام علیکم عزیز چیلی پیدا کردی؟
انشالله پیدا میشه.
انشالله
انشالله پیدا میشه.
انشالله. حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی. آشه سلام علیکم.
علیکم سلام. انشالله پیدا میشه نترسید.
آقا رضا سلام علیکم یا الله یا سلام.
نمیمونه پرچم همیشه بالا.
حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی خسته نباشی.
خسته نباشی.
یا سلام علیکم. حاجی سلام علیکم عزیز چیلی پیدا کردی؟
انشالله پیدا میشه.
انشالله
انشالله پیدا میشه.
انشالله. حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی. آشه سلام علیکم.
علیکم سلام. انشالله پیدا میشه نترسید.
آقا رضا سلام علیکم یا الله یا سلام.
نمیمونه پرچم همیشه بالا.
حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی خسته نباشی.
خسته نباشی.
یا سلام علیکم.
So yeah, they're on their way. Some other images. So these are the helicopters involved in the search and rescue operation.
A risky rescue operation and a sequence of events which undermines what the US president and his team have been saying. First, let me tell you what we know, and then a few thoughts on what it tells us about Trump's war. This is the wreckage of an American F-15 fighter jet. The images were taken by locals in western Iran, circulated on social media, and then on Iranian state media. Within a few hours, US officials had confirmed that an American F-15 had been shot down and that a search and rescue operation had been launched. Video of that quickly emerged. This, a US C-130 plane flanked by 2 US Black Hawk helicopters. The Americans then confirmed that one of the 2 crew from the F-15 had been rescued, the other unaccounted for. Then news that 2 of the helicopters used for the rescue had also been hit. All the crew safely accounted for, we're told. And then more, another plane down, this time an aging A-10 tank buster, like this one, a single crew plane brought into this war by the Americans to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. It can take out the Iranian fast boats. The pilot of the A-10, we're told, is safe. So what does all this tell us? Well, I think it tells us that the president and his team are wrong when they say things like this.
They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force.
Or this.
We've achieved dominance over the skies of Iran.
Or this.
Complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace.
The president had
that all has been rubbished.
Has variously said that the war is won. The war will be won over the next 3 days. The war will be won in a few weeks. It isn't a war. He said all of that and more. We need help from our allies. We don't need their help. He is, frankly, all over the place on a war he chose. And as American aircraft were downed over Iran, he posted this. It's not clear what he meant.
That's so true. Keep the oil, anyone? Here's another one.
Now, an American military aviator is missing in action, and there is a race tonight to locate and recover them before the Iranians can get there first. Those are the stakes after one of the most extraordinary days of this war. It all began with a U.S. F-15E fighter jet like that one on your screen, shot down by Iranian forces. The pilot and a weapons specialist ejecting safely and then evading capture on the ground. But as U.S. rescuers closed in, another aircraft also took fire and crashed, forcing that pilot to eject as well. They were later lifted from the Persian Gulf, and the pilot of the earlier F-15 has been rescued too. But that third crew member is still out there tonight, and we have multiple reports on what happened and what's being done to rescue them, starting with CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata, following things from London. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening, Tony. So this is a first since the conflict began. The very latest we're getting out of U.S. officials tonight is that search and rescue is ongoing for that second crew member of the F-15, somewhere deep behind enemy lines in a remote region of Iran. And the downing of that second rescue aircraft due to enemy fire, even though the pilot was safely out of Iranian airspace before ejecting, just speaks to how dangerous this rescue mission is. We're learning tonight an A-10 Warthog like this took fire during the rescue mission. The pilot ejected over the Persian Gulf off the coast of Kuwait and was rescued safely. A helicopter carrying that rescued fighter jet pilot was also hit by small arms fire, wounding the crew, but managed to land safely. Iranian state TV was the first to report Iranian forces shot down a U.S. fighter jet, airing footage of the wreckage as proof. U.S. officials later confirmed the U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle had fallen to enemy fire and deep behind enemy lines. A two-seater version like these F-15s seen at a U.S. military base in Britain months ago, part of the buildup to the war.
So for the people who just joined in, we're trying to gather up news, see what we can get on the jet and the missing crew member of the F-15. So X has been lit. This is another shot of the same video. It shows people of the village actually shooting down the plane and running after the pilot. This is the pilot. This actually goes against whatever the Iranian diaspora and Trump says about how people feel about their own government. Even if they did feel something not right, it was their choice. So actually what happened is this war has united Iran.
Commence. And again, the search in and of itself was, kind of odd. There's the ejection seats being deployed. The ejection seats, of course, have the parachutes and they have GPS trackers on them. But the pylons weren't there. So then we had to scan the ground with, scanning equipment on helicopters. Now apparently a helicopter has been brought down. We can go to clip number 20. This is Iranian tribesmen using their rifles, their hunting rifles, to open fire on the U.S. rescue aircraft. We can go to clip number 20 now. You can bring the audio up a little bit. Some pretty dramatic gunshot noise.
And keep an eye on this little girl, how she's celebrating. This shows you what's actually going inside the heads of the Iranians. I mean, they are like literally celebrating this. So this was a bad idea.
And screaming at people. But yeah, there's lots of videos of these Iranian tribesmen just on their own shooting their rifles at the American Air Force. In this case, I think they're shooting at the helicopter, the search and rescue helicopter. So it doesn't seem like they're
yeah, he says tribesmen. That actually sounds better, It goes to show that even the tribesmen are able, to shoot these things. So the mainland, Iran, these guys are in trouble. This is big, big trouble. And whatever statement that comes out of the White House or the U.S. Government, I think Donald Trump is going to be the first one. And let's hope that he doesn't come out with a stupid statement saying that, and he could say it like anything. Iranians parked their car and started firing at two U.S. rescue helicopters, unmatched. So, like, this is, you can see the helicopter here, and this car is parked, and I think 3 guys are coming out of the car.
Helicopter America.
This guy is saying helicopter America. That means this is an American helicopter. So this is the guy with the rifle. He's walking towards the helicopter. These 2 guys are standing behind. Oh, there's another helicopter. That's why the other guy was looking that way. So these 2 guys are firing at the helicopter. This is a second helicopter entering into the frame.
Helicopter America.
Some movie-like scenes coming from Iran. Wow. So yeah, this is the Warthog. This one incident can change everything about this war. So yeah, there's also a purge going on inside the armed forces of the U.S. So a little bit on that.
Interpolitics lead Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the U.S. Army Chief of Staff, General Randy George, and 2 other top Army generals on Thursday. Dismissals that come as the U.S. appears poised to intensify strikes, and the Pentagon is weighing a potential ground invasion in Iran. In a post, Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell framed General George's firing as a retirement, effective immediately. A U.S. official told CNN that senior Army leadership had been caught off guard. Quote, "It doesn't feel like a very thought-out decision," unquote. Now, I have been personally covering General Randy George's career for about 15 years. I wrote a book in 2012 about the ill-fated combat outpost Keating, which had been, in 2006, placed in a dangerous position in Afghanistan. Then Colonel Randy George and his Lieutenant Colonel Brad Brown tried to shut down that outpost in 2008 because of the precarious position it was in, although their warnings were not heeded with any urgency. And then Cop Keating was devastatingly attacked in 2009. Those who know General Randy George consider him to be well-respected, smart, strategic, someone who acts with the best interests of his service members and the United States at the top of his mind. His dismissal, along with that of Chief of Chaplains Major General William Green Jr. and Commander of Army Transformation and Training Command General David Hodney, are just the latest in a string of abrupt firings that Hegseth has carried out inside the Pentagon since he took office. Hegseth has fired more than a dozen senior military officers over the last year. In fact, he's almost completely remade the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Just 2 officials remain from before President Trump took office. Marine Corps Commandant General Eric Smith and Chief of Space Operations General B. Chance Saltzman. Now, you might have noticed if you look at that photo, Hegseth's version of the Joint Chiefs, those are entirely white men, despite the fact that as of 2024, nearly 33% of active duty service members are of color, and nearly 18% are women. Hegseth made it quite clear that that type of representation in the top ranks does not matter to him.
The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department, and we need the best and brightest. Physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, It is what it is. We're reviving the warrior ethos. We're eliminating the distractions and the debris. No more DEI.
Two of the first leaders Hegseth let go were former Joint Chiefs Chair General C.Q. Brown, the second black officer to hold that post, and Chief of Naval Operations Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to lead the U.S. Navy. Just last week, the New York Times reported that in an extraordinarily rare move, Hegseth was actively blocking the promotions of 4 Army officers. Officials saying 2 of the officers are black.
So yeah, there's a lot going on inside the U.S. military. So
does this change the picture present?
Let's go back to Al Jazeera. Let's see what they're saying.
Does this change the picture presented by U.S. officials about the state of Iranian air defenses?
Well, it certainly is a vivid and very visual contradiction of what the Trump administration has been claiming about its military success in these 35 days of war so far. We've heard not just from the White House, from the president, from his spokesperson, but from the Pentagon, from the defense secretary, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, just how overwhelmingly the U.S. military is attacking and dismantling the Iranian military's capabilities. But when you see the images of an F-15 ejector seat and parachute on Iranian territory, when you see a video of equipment that has been damaged or destroyed, that brings it home to people that this is not just something that is happening on the television airwaves or in the online newspapers. There are people who they may know whose lives are being put at risk while they are taking part in this conflict, which was never officially approved by Congress, wasn't officially briefed to Congress, and that's something that has angered particularly Democrats.
Okay, now let's go a bit deeper. We got some more animation. What? Whoa. Whoa. That was good. The music, they're coming out with great music as well. Not only graphics and AI work, the music is just amazing. So So we got pictures coming in from. Let's go into the top news.
They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, that is all over the internet. It's a bad, bad day. And I don't think Trump is going to make any public statement until this search operation is done and dealt with. And it's going to be either this way or either that way. This might be the turning point of this entire conflict. So, yeah, all the Trump claims are resurfacing. And then the tutorial that we talked about. Let's check what Press TV is saying. This is Iranian TV. This is 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, my wife was the first person to tell me about this morning. She called me, concerned, and we just, like all Californians, hope that we find this pilot and hope to find out what happened, if anything, in the Gulf. But we were told just a couple nights ago in the president's 20-minute address to the country that we owned the skies of Iran. And it looks like we don't. If this is happening, and this is the concern with this conflict, is that we have a president who is completely unprepared for what's next, has no justification as to why we are there, seems to have more plans for a ballroom in the East wing of the White House than a conflict in the Middle East as it plays out right now. And by the way, gas prices in California are soaring.
This is Press TV.
Syed Hassan Nasrallah, the late leader of Hezbollah, revealed the process by which Soleimani was able to transfer Russian-supplied Cornet rockets that David was just talking about there from Syria through Lebanon to the resistance. I mean, what do you think that says about the collective spirit of the Axis of Resistance?
Okay, so let's move on. Let's go towards the... This is 27 minutes ago. Iran launches its 93rd wave. Let's check on the BAM cam. Can we see the wave? Not yet. Okay, so got no update. Let's move on. Yeah, all they want is the Americans to be out of West Asia. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for now. I'll see you